Hi, welcome to this overview of the Dataverse Monitoring Agent. The Dataverse Monitoring Agent helps us leverage Copilot Studio to review telemetry that's provided from Dataverse, helping us review user adoption of certain features or areas of Dataverse, keeping tabs on health, and then looking at security, so security roles, what people are looking at, and so on. It allows us to automate team collaboration by using agentic flows to create team groups, to automate email notifications if there's outages or any disruptions, build incident review reports, as well as other artifacts that will help reduce the issue impact by quickly notifying and let us taking more of a proactive approach. Some of the features it includes is no query knowledge needed. So not having to understand KQL is going to be a big benefit of this agent. It'll help generate operational reports in real time instantly, and it helps you uncover signals to drive business decisions. So one of the benefits of Copilot Studio is it allows us to use a low-code platform to agentify business processes. So in this case, traditionally, we've had to build reports, dashboards, things like this to be able to sort of review the operational health of our platform, adoption, and so on. So think of like Power BI reports you may have seen, and there's a lot of manual reviewing that goes along with that. Now there is opportunities for getting notified when things happen through Azure Monitor alerts and so on. But what Copilot Studio allows us to do is to, using this low-code platform, connect to multiple MCP servers, multiple agents, connectors, agentic flows, etc., to bring all this data together to unify these data streams to help us ultimately reshape how our business understands our usage and what we can do to improve our business processes. In this case, we're connecting to the Power Platform using MCP, Dataverse with its MCP, Office, specifically Word and Excel with its MCP, as well as application insights using a connector. So I'll just provide a quick overview, a demo, extending and then contributing to the project. So why the need for a Dataverse monitoring agent? Well, this agent allows us to use AI as an assist to be able to sort of find the signal within the noise. So we can look at usage and operational data with the help of AI to take our natural language questions. For instance, what area of the platform are my users using or not using over the last month or week? Tell me about any performance concerns I should have regarding operational activity. AI with these large language models can decipher our natural language questions and then turn that into our query. So it reduces the knowledge dependency on query design and building out reports as well. So instead of having multiple reports with different URLs, you got to go figure out where all this stuff would land. You can now just work with a single entity, this Copilot Studio agent, to help sort of build a report in flight, sort of in real time. So imagine from an administrator having this agent and asking it, tell me about any code imports, anything like that, maybe or any platform degradations. Maybe from a business perspective, I want to know about user adoption. Maybe from the executive level, I want to ask about ROI and so on. So being able to ask these questions and having a agent that can tap into generative answers, generative orchestration, along with LLMs to provide those answers, to get you those KPIs, to get you those signals, those metrics that you're in need of. And again, you can generate those real-time reports towards an industry, any role inside of an industry as well. So we're going to go into a demo. This demo assumes you installed the solution. I've put some instructions on how to install the solution in the instructions in the GitHub repo. So this already assumes you've installed it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick demo of the Dataverse Monitoring Agent. So here we're in the overview pane. You can see Oh, we've got the name monitoring agent. In this case, we're using Cloud Sonnet 4.5. Right now, it's under experimental. That could change by the time of this recording or when you view it. Excuse me. We don't have any triggers set up now. As we look to extend the agent, I anticipate triggers to be I guess triggered whenever there is an issue happens or any sort of alert may come in. You can determine what you want to trigger on, but for now we're just going to use this as more of a discovery type agent. So I think the big thing to cover here is the instructions. You can see that I'm telling it to use the Azure Monitor Community Knowledge, which is a GitHub repo that contains a bunch of queries. In our case, we have for Dataverse and flows and so on, we have our own query pack that we've included there. So I'm telling it to look inside the Dataverse folder, use the KQL files, just to help it ground it on sort of how to construct queries for us. Luckily, this agent is smart enough to create queries sort of for us, so that should just kind of help guide it along. When you're searching for flows, use the flow session knowledge first. That's if you have flow history enabled for Dataverse, that'll be stored there. When you're asked about flow runs, you can use the Custo MCP server. If that doesn't work, fail over to the run query list results connector we have. When you're asked about environment information, use the environment management MCP server. That's the Power Platform server. And then finally, we have the Dataverse MCP server. When you use it, we want to query only the minimal amount of columns requested. So you'll see inside of the server there'll be instructions on how to reduce the amount of columns and so on. Don't describe what you're doing to the end user, just provide results, provide HTML outputs when possible. And that's pretty much what you see here. Here's the different tools we have. It's connected to a code review agent. That's a V2 version here. But our tools will include the Custo Query MCP server, a connector to run against App Insights or Log Analytics, Dataverse MCP server, the Microsoft Word MCP server to help us generate a report, and an environment management MCP server. We have a few topics here, just a further analysis one. That one's not doing too much, but that's if we want to go deeper and connect into other agents. So say we have an alert come up, we want to connect to a code review, a DevOps agent, a solution history agent, something like that. But let's go ahead and get started here. I've provided some helpful prompts. Now, if you embed this agent within, like, take Teams and 365 something, you'll see those prompts. But down here, you can see the different suggested prompts I have. So this one, I can actually take it and just paste it in. And this is in the GitHub repo where the agent lives. It'll be a little bit more clear when I show that. In fact, here is, let me find you the prompts. So here's a prompt here. Let me resize this a little bit. So you can see this is essentially what we're running. Query the following, generate a report. Summarize the web API request over the last 24 hours. Summarize flow runs over the last 24 hours. User activity and solution history if we have it. Break those down in the areas of documents. Provide a link once created. And you can tweak this to be a generate a monthly report or focus on particular App Insights or Dataverse environments. So in my case, it's running it here. You can see kind of working through its knowledge here. So this is where Sonnet does a really good job. It's going to keep thinking for a little bit here. You'll watch it. This will be all internal. This is while we're debugging it. You'll see it sort of think through what it's doing. But ultimately, it should respond back to what we need here. We will have additional tools I want to show you here while that's running on the run query. So right now, the way that the solution is stored, these are all not filled out for you. You'll fill them out. You can set this to dynamically fill with AI and tell it what resource group, what subscription, and so on. If you want to try to extend this even further, you can connect to the Azure MCP server, and that should help you. But definitely the resource name can be something that can be dynamically filled with AI if you have some sort of entity or list, or maybe you're even storing this stuff in Dataverse to say, okay, go search this App Insights tied to this Dataverse and so on here. And that might be something we look at as an update to this monitoring agent. You can see when I'm doing completion, I write with generative AI, and I specifically will give it descriptions depending on what tool we're using and how to write it. So in this case, this one's saying it didn't find any information. But normally it'll find different stuff here. So in this case, there's web APIs and so on. So I'm gonna pause the recording, let this kind of finish. It takes about a minute or so to get through it. Okay, so you can already see now it's going to the generate report. So it's generated this report on my web APIs, my service request flow runs. Now there's not much on this one here. It's a demo environment, but once you run this, you'll see a little bit more of how this is generated here. So it gave me the request, the hourly breakdown, including the P95, and again, you can extend this out to be a P99 and so on. The success rates, organizational service calls, as well as the overall success rate. You can see key observations it gave, flow runs if they were available, user activity, and then solution history. Overall, it's given me some performance highlights. And what's interesting is this can be dropped. This is in a OneDrive, Word document in OneDrive, but it can also be sent to an email. Again, it can be sort of, the output can be redone per persona. You just have to give the instructions to the agent. So this is how this works now. I encourage you to check it out. This requirements are having the app insights enabled with Dataverse, so doing that data export to get the data out. Having the flow history will be helpful for you. So that's just the bare minimum. Again, you can extend this, to connect to Microsoft Graph or Purview or other log stores if you want to kind of unify all of your data stores. Okay, so we've shown now how you can install and work with the Dataverse Monitoring Agent. So some ideas you can have for extending it is to obviously modify the report to work with different sort of personas, be able to scan across multiple Dataverse environments, as well as other Power Platform assets. So being able to scan other agents, scan other flows, apps, and so on. And then be able to extend using agent to agent to work with other agents in Microsoft Copilot Studio. So that could be, maybe having a DevOps agent or something that looks at any issues or bugs that may have come up, or even work items that came up that may have sort of influenced any performance degradation or anything like that. Finally, you can add agentic flows to help trigger other events. So if it's going to be when maybe somebody sends out a support ticket saying it looks like there might be a performance issue, you can now generate a report on behalf and just email that to your support team, including any sort of other metrics or maybe even operational IDs from the user. So I encourage you to consider what you can do to extend this agent. Okay, so it's important to call out that this is a sample code just illustrating how you can connect to Dataverse, connect to your application insights using large language models, using Copilot Studio. It is considered sample code. Everything is provided as is. There's no warranty or anything like that. Again, it's pretty straightforward. It's meant to just get you started and expose how to start working with it, and encourage you to extend it. But if you want to contribute to this project, use the issues tab in GitHub repo for any feature requests, or if you want to actually add some changes yourself and add them to the agent, you can use a pull request and add your changes, and we'll review it and then add it in there. So I encourage you to ask for new features, or to even better, clone it, make changes, and then put a pull request in with your changes.